is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio. PHLV Radio.
Happy Travel Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Smart People Travel Wise. I'm your host, Tennie Sumague, coming to you from my hometown of New York City. It's pretty hot here in New York, and summer is almost over, meaning kids are going back to school, and it's the start of shoulder season in travel. Today, me and my guests are going to discuss why it's more fun in the Philippines. Because it just really is, but there's more to that. But before I introduce her, I like to remind everybody, if you are watching live, please hashtag live. And if you are watching on replay, hashtag replay. Make sure you're telling us where you're coming from so we can acknowledge all of you. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Fire, and I did mention Spotify. Or you can simply download the PHLV radio app available on all iOS and Android phones. So, our topic for today is, of course, the Philippines and why it's more fun. And we're going to go more in depth on our favorite experiences on what makes Philippines, why it's more fun in that country over any other country. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guests, and please smash those heart buttons as I introduce Soleil Tropicalis. She's from the Department of Tourism, Philippines, based in San Francisco, who I met just last week in our convention of American Society of Travel Advisors. Hi, Soleil. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Tennie. It's nice to see you again, even if you're from the other side of the U.S.
Yes, well, East Coast meets West Coast. West Coast.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
East meets West. And tell me more about you, Soleil. Your name is so unique. Soleil Tropicalis. It resonates like, I feel like going on the beach.
That's true. I always get that reaction from the people that I meet. Soleil Tropicalis means tropical sun, literally. So I think it represents the Philippines very well. Yeah. So as you've mentioned, I'm based here in the West Coast. I'm in San Francisco. I'm with the Philippine Department of Tourism. I'm the tourism attaché. And we have other two offices in the U.S., like in New York, where you live, and in Los Angeles. But the San Francisco office, our jurisdiction is over Pacific Northwest, Midwest USA, and West Canada. So it's quite a big jurisdiction. But yeah, I'm very happy to be with you today and share our viewers why it's more fun in the Philippines. And I hope that after this, they'll be excited to visit our country very soon.
Now, what led you to this position? Like, what brought you to promoting travel, especially in the Philippines?
Yeah, well, my background has always been in the hospitality and tourism industry. So before I joined the Philippine Department of Tourism in 2014, I was working in the private sector. So I worked with different resorts and hotels, like you mentioned Boracay. So I work in Boracay. It was my office years ago. And after that, I also had a brief stint in the academy where I thought about hospitality courses. And When I joined the Philippine Department of Tourism in 2014, I was part of the route development team where we take care of, or like we talk with airlines to mount direct flights to the Philippines. So it's that's how I started in the industry. And in 2019, I arrived here in San Francisco as the tourism attaché. So that's my journey basically. Yeah.
A dream come true. And according to the tourism website, there are 7,641 islands that make up the Philippines, which I didn't know until I read the tourism website last night. I'm still stuck on 7,100 islands.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you, like, can you name all 7,641 islands?
How much time do we have now?
7,141 seconds.
Okay.
But maybe for our viewers, and I would imagine a lot of Fil-Ams, like for those who were born in the U.S. And I will tell you, a lot of Filipino Americans really don't know much. I remember one of my friends' grandfather says that like the Filipinos are not like the Chinese who know their language or know their culture.
Well, there's a grain of truth to that.
There's a little bit true. Like once you're, Americanized, you're just and I feel like that's me too. I'm a little bit more American than the Filipino. But at least share with our audience and our viewers at least the three main islands and a couple of interesting islands that they should see it once in their lifetime.
Sure, yeah, but just to add to your question, like how many islands do we have? So we say 7,641 islands, but before we usually answer that, we ask high tide or low tide. That's usually the joke. But anyway,
all times.
So we have three major or main islands in the Philippines. So Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So Luzon is the northern part of the Philippines, and Visayas is the central part where we have most of the islands, and Mindanao is in the southern part of the Philippines. And just a few top islands that are known and which have been consistently voted or in the list of the best islands in the world. So it's like you've mentioned again Boracay, so it's always on the top list. We have Palawan, which is a good dive destination and good for island hopping. We also have Cebu, Bohol, and Siargao, to name a few. So Siargao is actually quite a new destination, and it's known for it's a surfing capital of the Philippines. So you should visit that, Tenny. Even though you don't surf, just you can try it if you haven't yet. Siargao is a good place to try surfing, and our seafood boodle fight in Siargao is just the best. Have you tried boodle fight, Tenny?
No, I haven't, and that's the first time I've even heard of such a thing. What is it? Budo?
It's usually so it's a meal. How we prepare a meal? So we set up banana leaves on the table, and we put everything there, like the rice, the meat, the vegetables. So it's usually grilled meat and seafood. So with all the vegetable, and we eat with our hands. So that's how you enjoy the boodle fight.
Oh, okay. So I call that, the meal that you put the banana leaf thing. That's what I call it, the banana leaf meal. That you eat with your hands.
Yeah.
That's the American, I guess that's the American name for it.
Yeah.
But speaking of Siargao, that's actually where I want to go. I'm hoping to go to the Philippines, hopefully during the holidays. I would say that's one of my favorite times to go back to the Philippines is during the holidays, the Christmas, the New Year's time, because it's just something. It's just during that time, anywhere you go, it's just everyone's happy because it's the end of the year and you're reuniting with families. But would you say when is the best time to go? Would you agree with me around the end of December, January? When is the best time to go to the Philippines?
Yeah, well, the Philippines is a year-round destination. We have more than 7,000 islands, so you can go there any time of the year and enjoy two or three islands for at least 14 days. But yeah, December is a good time. But that's really the peak season because, us Filipinos, we want to go home and spend time with our family. But the peak of the summer is from March to June. So those are the hottest months, and those are like the times that you want to just enjoy the beach, swim, and snorkel in different islands and lakes. But if you want to experience or go there during the cooler months, then that would be November to February.
Now, where is your family from, Soleil? Because my family, my dad's side, they're in Laguna. My mom, I'm half Ilocano. My mom was born in Ilocos Norte, but she migrated to Davao, and she went to school in Manila, in Tondo. But then after she graduated at 20, she's been in America. So I'm like, when I go, whenever I go to the Philippines, I don't even know where to go. Like, but where are you from exactly? And what do you love about where you're from?
Yeah, so my parents live in Rizal, so it's the same region as Laguna. But my mom is from Romblon, which is in the central part of the Philippines, near Boracay. So Romblon is known for, it has a lot of marbles in that area. And my dad is from Quezon, but he also moved when he was still very young, moved to Manila and studied in Tondo. Same as your mom. So maybe they know each other, But yeah, but now my parents live in Rizal. So that's where whenever I go home to the Philippines, that's where I visit or stay with them in Rizal.
Now I know. Maybe you're from Rizal. I mean, that's not far from Laguna, and we're somehow related. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
I say about Eric Spoelstra, the head coach of the Miami Heat. He's from Laguna. I might be related to him too.
Right? Yeah.
But we'll go on to reasons why it's more fun in the Philippines. And amongst all the I'm going to say just within the Southeast Asian countries, the most popular tourist destinations. People go to Thailand, Indonesia, even Malaysia, Cambodia. Basically Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia for the beautiful beaches and the warm hospitality. But the Philippines offers the same thing: the great culture, food, hospitality, adventure. And what people don't know is, unlike Thailand and Indonesia, people speak English.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was about to say that more than 90% of the Filipinos can speak English, so it's very easy for foreigners to go around, ask direction, or even just strike a conversation with a local, with the jeepney drivers, or even with the tour guides, with the street food vendor. You can always talk to them and feel like you're home because we speak English, and we love welcoming guests or foreigners in our country, in our home. And even if we just met them the first time, we would always ask, have you eaten already? Or let's eat. We love sharing our meals. So that's something that's very authentic and innate to the Filipinos.
Now, tell us more. What is one of your favorite or experiences in the Philippines? And maybe let's start with, have you been everywhere and anywhere in the Philippines? All 7,640?
Not all the 7,641 islands, but I've been to the best islands, I can say. But my most favorite part in the Philippines is, since I'm a diver, I really love diving in around the country and experience underwater marine life. I did diving in other countries, and I tell you, the Philippines is really like the best. The waters are warm, so it's very comfortable to dive, and just the coral reef, the marine life is just, it's magical. It's, even if you are not a diver, if you just snorkel, you can already, you can appreciate it a lot already.
And one of the things I'm proud of and proud to see is that Condé Nast and Travel Leisure awarded Palawan
Mm-hmm.
the best island in the world. Would you
Yeah.
agree with that? I mean, I've been wanting to go to Palawan since before it even um before it started write travel writers were even beginning to write about it. I know that's been on my list that I always see at the airport with the pictures and the cliffs.
Yes, yes. That's Palawan is my personal favorite. And I have a bias with Palawan. It's actually a personal favorite. I'm actually going there in October. I'm spending my honeymoon there in October. We're going. My husband and I are going to Boracay and Coron, Palawan. So yeah, it's whenever I describe it to other people who ask about Palawan, I tell them it's like you're in Jurassic Park. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. It's so beautiful. It has um limestone cliffs, as you mentioned. We have a lot of lakes there, lagoons, and unknown to a lot of people, we have there are just a few saltwater what you call hot spring in the world, and one is in the Philippines in Coron, Palawan. So that's something that is nice to experience when you go there. But well, aside from Palawan, we have Siargao and Boracay and Cebu has been part of the top island by Condé Nast Traveler and Travel and Leisure. So that's something that we are very proud of.
And another, I guess, another thing that's trending in travel is food. I mean, people are traveling because of food. And I say amongst, I always tell my friends this, amongst all the Asian foods, I believe Filipino food is the best because it's actually, there's a lot that is, that they can tolerate in their palates. Sometimes, people complain other than I rarely hear anyone complain about Korean food other than the spices of kimchi. But some don't like raw fish, or they think Indian or Thai can be a little bit too spicy aside from the noodles. But culinary travel is something trending, and from what I know, and I haven't been there yet, and because I do want to go there because it is the culinary capital of the world, which is Pampanga.
Yes, yes. Pampanga is a really good cuisine, and well, our cuisine has a lot of influences. We are like a melting pot, from Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, American. That's why it's quite very it's very rich and it's very interesting to eat our dishes. But I think I can think of one complaint that you could have for our for Filipino cuisine. It's because you cannot eat it without rice. It's always good. Well, especially for those who are on keto or who are like avoiding carbs, you can't because Filipino food is so good to eat with rice. So even from the soup, from the sisig, which it came from Pampanga, um, with lechon, which is named as the best pig dish in the world by Anthony Bourdain. You have to eat it with rice because rice is life, right, Tenny?
I thought kilai was life, but also I guess
Okay. You can add it to the list.
kilai and rice.
Yeah.
But yes, you mentioned about Anthony Bourdain, and that's kind of the reason why I wanted to go to Pampanga too, because when he went there, he kind of, I remember him sitting down with just the locals and talking about lechon, which is funny because I think the best lechon, in my opinion, is Cebu. I like Cebu lechon.
He was in Cebu actually when he tried it. So I think he went in Cebu and I'm not sure if he went to Pampanga, but I guess he did as well. But the Cebu best pig dish that he said that was in Cebu.
And I'm gonna keep it on the food topic because one of my favorite food experience that I have experienced in the Philippines was when I went to Davao, deep in Davao, and when I remember I was in the cab and I made the cab driver stop because I love tuna. I mean, that's probably one of my favorite fish I like
Yeah.
it raw. I like it cooked. I like it barbecue, grilled, and my gosh, I've had pretty much everything in one shot when I went to Davao about their tuna. Like I think that they're known as I believe that's where they're like the tuna capital of the
The
Philippines.
capital is in that part, the General Santos, southern part of the Philippines. Yes.
And I know I just like I think all the time that I was in Davao, that's all I ever wanted was tuna.
Yeah, that's right. I've attended a wedding in that part of the Philippines years ago, and usually when you attend an event, like there's a carving station, right? So it could be a beef or like a pork or a ham, right? But in that wedding, their carving station are the whole tuna. So that's how that's how they what do you call this? They presented it with to the guests or feed their guests through that whole tuna carving station. So that was really good.
And tuna is a fish, and it's really healthy. So unlike lechon, which is funny with lechon, I don't ever eat the balat. I don't like balat at all, which is funny. I just like the meat. And
We
everyone
could be
thinks I'm
good friends. Yeah, you could give me your balat all the time. We could be
if
good
anybody, yeah, I eat lechon, but I eat just the meat. So if anybody like I am, whenever if I have balat, I always give it away, and
yeah.
that's how I also make friends.
Yeah, you could give it to me.
And speaking of Davao too, is also and I'm gonna ask you because every time I go to the Philippines, um, I'm always warned not to eat the street food. But yet, when I went to Davao, because I wasn't around like any adults, I ventured and ate some of the street food, and it was one of the best street food I had from barbecue and buchi. And I love buchi, and I've had like all kinds of buchi, like durian and what was this? It was durian. Oh, I was like, what's the green? Not green tea, pandan,
Yes,
and
yes.
of course
Wow.
ube. I mean, would you say kind of like Philippines? Would you say the street food is the street food safe?
Well, there are areas that are, I could say, is safer than the others. So you just need to, well, anywhere you go in the world, when you try a new or different food, it's there's always a risk involved. But well, let's just but the fun is also there, right? Trying new food, trying something different. But well, what I could say is just before you try street food, maybe check first the location and the environment and see if if it's you will see if it's clean or not. But usually our street food vendors um um generally they serve the food, they clean it very well and serve it in a very what do you call this clean in a clean way. So, and I guess you had a good experience, right, Tenny, when you ate it in Davao when
I
you
did it in Davao, and everything I've experienced was all in Davao.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. What was your favorite street food?
That's a good, yeah. It was probably the buchi. I had, I think, shark fin.
Wow.
Shark fin. I wanted something with shark fin, and of course, I aim for the barbecue, the chicken
Yeah.
skin.
Oh yeah.
That's just one
Yeah.
of my things.
Have you
But
tried the balut?
oh no, no.
No.
I stick with my I even though I do try to venture out, I mean I do like every time I travel I do eat some kind of different kind of animals or something weird. But I think in the Philippines I try to just keep it simple.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like I don't like balut. I
Mhm.
think and looking at it just makes me just makes me gag.
But speaking of like egg, I think we showed a photo earlier. The orange one, it's called kwek kwek. Have you
Oh,
tried?
quick.
Quail
I
eggs,
haven't
yeah.
tried quick, but
That's really good. That's really good.
my
You have to do that.
my sister loves kwek kwek. I mean, I just, I laugh at the name because I feel affiliated with something else that I'm not going to
Yeah.
say here live, but I know that's one of the things that I'm just like, I should try it. If my sister likes it, I should like it. But and she's more of a picky eater than I am, and for some
Oh,
reason I haven't tried that yet. I think the only egg that I eat is I don't even like I don't even eat the yolk of the egg. I only like the white part of it.
okay. That's why. That's understandable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like egg yolk unless it's scrambled. Sometimes when it's runny, I might like it, but it has to be covered a lot with white. So I think that's also another reason why it sometimes maybe the color that makes it not I wouldn't say appealing, but it makes it
Yeah.
strange because I just affiliate eggs with that it's white.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, well, maybe you could try. Well, it's small, the quack quack. It's quail eggs, and it's good when you dip it. Mine, I like it when I dip it with on spicy vinegar, not the sweet one. I want the spicy one. So
That's what
that's
I eat with my lumpia. I like it with that spicy
yeah, yeah.
and
Now I'm
even
getting hungry.
this is all hungry, and we haven't even talked about fruits too, because that's one of the reasons why I love going. What makes why it's more fun in the Philippines is because you could eat different fruits, and you don't have to spend $9-10 on durian or lanzones in Chinatown here in New York. But a lot of that even comes from Davao, and I think I remember having this fruit conversation with Jordan Clarkson because I freelance as a sports writer too, and he says one of the reasons why he loves coming home is adobo and bananas.
My bananas. That's well, yeah. That's I me. I always look forward for the mangoes. Like we have the sweetest mango. No one should argue with that. We have the best mangoes.
There's mangoes. What else? There lanzones, pomelo, durian.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah, I
I
missed
think
that one. Or
I'm a mango
the
fan too.
the
That
rambutan. You know the
rambutan.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's good.
What makes it fun? The exotic fruits. Now, what are from being that you grew up in the Philippines, what are some of your favorite personal experiences? Because I would say for mine, I've been to the Philippines many times. I haven't gone to all 7,641 islands, but I've probably only been to like two. I haven't been to Cebu yet. It's I'm always just shifting between Davao and the Metro Manila area, and whatever's close to Manila. And I think the only time I've really ventured was I went to Banawe and Ifugao. That
Yeah.
was really one of my favorite experiences because, like I mentioned, I'm half Ilocano. I got to meet, kind of see what my heritage is, and they're more tinier than I am. But I would say that was one of my favorite experiences, just hiking that. And even my mom did it, and she couldn't handle it. That we had to call the ambulance when she had to carry
Oh wow. Yeah.
because it was too much, and she also was hiking with like loafers on, not sneakers.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, but what would you say is one of your personal favorite experiences in the Philippines?
Well, actually, I can totally relate with you with your experience in Davao. I just want to share that when I was in Davao, I really enjoyed when we visited the chocolate farm, Malagos.
Mhm.
That was really a great experience for me. And you mentioned also Ifugao. I really love my experience hiking there. I attended a local wedding, an indigenous wedding when I went there, which is a really good experience. But um, one unforgettable experience that I had when I was still in the Philippines is when I did a food tour in Bicol. Bicol is famous for the perfect cone-shaped volcano, Mayon. I You haven't been there, right? In
I haven't
Bicol.
been there.
It's it should be in your bucket list. Well, Mayon is an active volcano, so there's just a distance where it's safe to go there. So we when we went there, we did ATV ride around the volcano. So we passed by some streams and rocky roads. It was really a fun adventure. So you get all dirty and wet, and then we climbed at a certain height, and then from there we went down through zip lines. So you see a different view of the city. And after that is we went to go and see the whale shark in Donsol, which is also part of Bicol. And I say the whale shark experience in Donsol is not for the faint-hearted because it's really a deep sea, and it's dark. The water is dark, so we have spotters that we go around the area, and then they already know if there's a whale shark underwater. So when they say get ready, you need to put on your fins and your snorkeling gear, and you have to sit on the edge of the boat. And when they say jump, you should not hesitate even a second. You should not hesitate and just jump, because when you jump and you see underwater the whale shark is just the right time that they will pass by under you, and you could swim with them. And they're fast. You think they're gentle, like their tail looks gentle, but they're very fast. So there was one time I was swimming with them. So with a whale shark, I was swimming after it. And then when I put my head back on top of the water, the boat is so far already. So I was like, oh my God, I have to swim back to the boat. But that was a really good experience. And after that, we went into this island that I forgot the name. But what we did is we harvested uh, sea grapes from under the water. So you could dive and get it. And then I'm not sure if you're familiar with the sea grape. So it's like a seaweed, but it has a different sensation when you eat it. It pops inside your mouth, and it's salty. You don't have to wash it. You could eat it straight from when you harvest it. It's green. It's like a seaweed.
Grapes. Like I only know one kind of grape, two kinds, red and green.
And this is from under the sea, and it's so good to eat it with mango, or you dip it in vinegar and eat it with tomatoes. So that's really a great experience for me. Aside from cooking, um, with because Bicol is famous for the chilies and the coconut milk base. There you go. We have the sea grapes photo. They're showing it. So that's how sea grapes looks like.
That's how it is. Oh, that's
Yes, yeah. It's like I can't describe it, but it's really good. It's like it's a seaweed, but when you eat it, it pops inside your mouth. It's really
okay. I'm gonna write that on my bucket list. Okay, there you go. Food I have to try when I go to the Philippines. Seaweed grapes, and is that only in that certain region where you can get it, or
I think there's also like in other parts of the Philippines, but I've only experienced it so far in Bicol.
now in the Philippines, there's so much you could adventure. There's we mentioned the beaches, the adventure, the diving, the food, but even the culture in itself is interesting. And I'm gonna mention this because this is one of the reasons why I go home to the Philippines, and it's just kind of like in tradition. Whenever I travel, not only I make it a habit to go to a McDonald's. But when I go to the Philippines, I make it a habit to go to the mall. And I think mall life is just that's their life. I think the mall is life in the Philippines, aside from rice and kilay, is the mall. They live in the malls. And I think, yeah, just going to the mall, SM Mall, Ayala, how many malls? There's like
Mall of Asia.
Mall of Asia.
Yes. There you go. The biggest mall in Asia.
Yeah, the biggest mall in Asia, which I've only set. Oh, I did go to Mall of Asia. The last time I went to the Philippines, but yeah, the mall life is interesting, and it's just like for me, I think in one, it was actually a supermarket. I spent 2 hours in the supermarket, all because I was mesmerized by the products that they sold. I was like, I couldn't believe that they had a separate condensed milk for sopas.
Oh yes, yes, that's right. We love our sopas. Yeah.
And that's one thing I was like, that's one thing I haven't seen. Well, I don't know in like Filipino American cuisines menus. That's one thing. Like people are putting lugao and what's the other soup? Lugao and was it sotanghon?
Champorado.
Yeah,
Oh,
or I haven't seen anyone sell sopas, and that's one of my favorite.
oh,
That's one of my favorite Filipino soups. That honestly, I don't. I cook, but for some reason, I don't know how to make sopas, and sometimes I make it too soggy where the pasta is not al dente, or they're too
yes.
soft, or I don't put enough milk or soup. But I was like, that was one thing I was amazed about going into the mall. But like mall life, that's just kind of an important part of their culture, don't you think? Would you agree on that?
I totally agree, and there's also one reason why Filipinos loves going to the mall because it's usually hot in the Philippines, right? Especially during summer, like everyone is in the mall because it has aircon. We enjoy window shopping or eating. So, and we like haggling. You know, when you go to Green Hills, there's a lot of stuff that you could buy there, and you could negotiate the prices with the vendors. So not only Filipinos but foreigners when they go to the Philippines and that part of the city, they like the experience of negotiating for the price because we have that. That's part of our culture in the Philippines. When you go shopping, you could negotiate for the price, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know that's my favorite.
Tawad. Tawad ka. That's how you call it. Tawad
Yes.
naman, it's okay, something like that.
See, but I was told because I don't speak Tagalog too, is and this was how I was trained whenever I go to the Divisoria is
Yeah.
don't speak any word of English. So I was basically I don't remember the last time I went to the Divisoria, but I remember just pointing to my sister like I was like a mime. I said, "Let's get it down to 2 pesos or $2 or whatever $2 is." I was just like being on my like sign language because they said don't speak English or else they're not gonna give us
Yeah.
like discount prices. So for those who don't speak Tagalog, if you're ever in the Philippines and if you go to the Visoria, you always have to have a Filipino speaker, somebody who speaks Filipino with you, so that uh, get that discount prices. And I don't know because one of my favorite pairs of jeans that I still have and wear religiously, I've had them from the Divisoria and I've had them for 5 years.
Oh, that's nice.
So one of the greatest things when people think of shopping, the mall, Green Hills, one of the best places to shop. Who said Hong Kong, right?
Yeah, we have Green Hills.
Green Hills. Okay. Now, if you were to, because I haven't been to the Philippines and I'm planning to go there. If you were to tell me or create an itinerary for me of like the ultimate bucket list
Mhm.
uh, Philippines travel destination, and I'm gonna give you like maybe I would spend at least if I was only given maybe a month to see one of the best, all the best places in the Philippines has to offer. What would you suggest?
Wow. Well, a month, that's actually quite long already for North Americans. Usually they stay for 10 to 14 days, but a month you could visit a lot more than even more than 5 islands. So you've been to Davao and Manao, right? So for you, I would suggest visit Cebu to experience the cultural and the culinary tour. And we also have a lot of island hopping experience there. And then near Cebu, you could take a ferry of 1.5 hours to Bohol. Bohol is a really nice ecotourism destination. You could do a countryside tour there, and see the chocolate hills, which looks like chocolate kisses. That there, you could see it in the photo, and visit, cruise in the Lubbock River and have lunch and be serenaded by the locals. And in Bohol, you could also see there the tarsier, which is one of the smallest primates in the world, and we have a sanctuary for them in Bohol. So aside from that, since you have a month, you could visit Palawan. So Palawan, you could do either or both. You could or go to the three famous destinations there, which are Coron, El Nido, and Puerto Princesa. So Puerto Princesa is where you could experience the underground river, which is a UNESCO heritage site. That's very interesting. Yes, and there's a lot of stalactite and stalagmite formation where the locals have created a story behind it. So it's a very interesting one. When you go inside, it's not just you look at the formation, rock formation, but they have a story behind each rock formation. And so aside from that, I would suggest you go to Bicol. So because since you haven't been there, so do the ATV ride around Mayon, swim with the whale sharks, eat the spicy food, and um, and the sea grapes that I've mentioned.
That's the one on my list. Sea grapes.
Yeah, and of course, Siargao is something that you should not miss. It's aside from as a surfing capital of the Philippines, you can also experience a lot of island hopping there, and even wellness. We have, it's when you go to Siargao, it's an island that would make you reset and just relax and appreciate life. Siargao is that kind of mysterious magical effect on you when you go there. You don't want to leave the island. There's a lot of bloggers and even Filipino celebrities who stayed in Siargao because it's just a beautiful island to spend the rest of your life. Like it's like a work from paradise concept. And yeah, what else? Well, of course, Ilocos region has a lot to offer. So that part of the northern part of the Philippines, the food, yeah, the food, the adventure. We have their sand surfing in Ilocos. So if you have the water, the surfing in Siargao, you can do sand surfing in Ilocos, which is I haven't tried it personally, but it's on my bucket list as well.
How about
Well,
anything interesting in Manila
oh
other than
yes, of course. Yeah, NCR, our national capital region. We actually it's nice to if you haven't been to Intramuros or you have been there, it's time to revisit it because we did a lot of during especially during the pandemic, we did like improvements in that area. So that's something that you should visit. The Fort Santiago, it's so beautiful now. And we also have culinary circuit in the national capital region. So part of it is the walking food tour in Chinatown in Binondo. I tried it last December. It was really good. Like we walked around Binondo and we stopped in different restaurants and food stores and tried their their items from their menu. So it's the best way to experience Chinatown now by through that walking tour.
now with all since COVID, now what are the restrictions now for going to the Philippines for vaccinated, unvaccinated travelers?
Yeah, so we actually have very relaxed travel protocols. Since February of this year, we opened the Philippines. We opened our borders to all foreign travelers. So if you're fully vaccinated with booster, no need for quarantine and no need for pre-departure testing. But if you don't have the booster yet, but you're fully vaccinated, then you just need an RT-PCR test 48 hours before or antigen test 24 hours before your departure. So yeah, so anyone and for North Americans, they are visa free for stay less than 30 days. So if they have a valid passport now, they can actually go to the Philippines tomorrow if they want.
I wish I could go to the Philippines tomorrow.
Yeah.
First I gotta go back to work and or get make that money too, and then I could have 1 month. Well, I could take a 1 month only during the summer vacations, but that's actually going to the Philippines around August is not my favorite time of the year. Time to go the year because it's rainy
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, and it's actually convenient, Tenny, because we have nonstop flights from the U.S. or from Canada, even from Canada to Manila. So from San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, Honolulu, Vancouver, and Toronto, we have nonstop flights by Philippine Airlines. And aside from that, other Asian countries like via Taiwan, you could take EVA Air or China Air or via Korean Air, or via Singapore Airlines. It's very easy. There you have a lot of options now going to Asia and going to the Philippines.
Yeah, I know you could also go through Qatar and Dubai as well.
If you want to go the farther route, that's fine. Why
From New
not?
York. I mean,
From New York. Yeah, that's right. From New York.
From New York, you could have that option because sometimes people want to take that long layover to have their fun in in that one specific layover for like one night. To give some options. I wanted to do that, or I may plan to do that with Korea only because my sister's obsessed with that crash landing that Netflix show. And I know the Filipinos are also into like K-dramas and all that.
Oh yes, and K-pops. That's right.
K-pop, and that's also where I buy my Korean skincare in the Philippines. Aside from my Escanol.
Yeah.
So what's next for you, Soleil? What are your plans next? What are any plans on like what does the Department of Tourism have plans for the rest of the year?
Yes, we have been actually very busy since last year. And we have a lot of events and activities that we organize or we participate in. So, like we participated in the American Society of Travel Advisors last week, where we personally met, which is a very good opportunity for us to network with other travel advisors and introduce the Philippines. So we got a lot of good connections. We're all excited to learn more about the country and visit it. And we also have planned fam trips for travel advisors and media connections going to the Philippines, because it's different when you get to experience it personally, and when you get back in the US, it's easier for you to sell it because you've experienced it yourself. And yeah, so we for next year we are continuing to engage with our partners here in the US. And yeah, and we hope that we, not just Filipinos, but also our mainstream friends, we get to share with them how beautiful our country is, and that it's fun and safe to travel there. And it's something that they should not it should be part of their bucket list.
I agree too, and I always say to my teacher friends too. I was like, okay, you go to Thailand, you go to Aruba, for the beaches, you gotta go to the Philippines, and yeah, I try to promote it to my non-Filipino friends and something that they should consider. And they were like, "Can you go with me?" I was like, "Well, we would both be like foreigners because I don't speak Tagalog, but you know, I would have to go with somebody too, with at least a Tagalog speaking person. But even so." Like it's so easy to get around. You don't even need to learn. You don't need to use Google, what is this, Google language to translate how I need to go to the airport. They'll already, you say it, they understand it. Hopefully, the taxi drivers will take you to the correct airport. But that's one of my goals as a travel advisor too. I hope to do Philippines. I'm giving myself 1 year to at least get used to this, this role of travel advisor. And that was one of the great things that I got from the ASTA convention too. A lot of it has to do with marketing and branding and emotional selling. And I have tons of, and I'm sure you have so much to share to suppliers. Why it's more fun in the Philippines. Not that it's not fun anywhere else, but it's more fun in the Philippines.
Yes, it is truly, and you are more fun in the Philippines when you go there because you're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yes, more like relaxation and even karaoke sessions too. I forgot to share this story, but when you're stuck in traffic, a good way of like not getting tired is to actually sing all the songs that are played in the radio. And I remember 1.5 hours that I was stuck in. I think it was like from Makati to somewhere in Metro Manila. I was serenading our taxi driver from Air Supply to all these 80s music, OPM, my song. But Soleil, thank you for joining today. I hope to have you on again. We could discuss maybe one region, and if I go to Bicol or learn how to swim, and I could also experience all those diving adventures that you've experienced. Yes, I don't swim, but I love the water.
That's fine. You can still dive even if you don't know how to swim because you have the device that would help you control your buoyancy. So yeah, you can still do it.
I make sure to do that. That's going to be on my ultimate bucket list to the Philippines before I die. Okay, thank you so much, Soleil, for joining.
Thank you so much, Tennie.
And thank you to all our viewers because without your help, this would be impossible. And travel restrictions are lessening, and summer is almost over. But that doesn't mean you should stop traveling because this is one of the best times to travel is shoulder season, around the September-October season. Prices get low. Our People Travel Wise airs every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Pacific. I'm Tennie Sumague. See you again next time. Take care.